Hi, welcome to my workshop. My name's Darren and this is 3D Prints in the Workshop number 17. We're nearly at 20, how's that? Today I'm going to be looking at drawer organisation. I've got a whole heap of different drawer organisers for you. I've designed these for the King Chrome Evolve tool trolleys, but you can use them for whatever. As long as they don't exceed the height of your drawer, which they probably won't, you'll be fine. You might have to adjust some of the outer edge boxes to make everything fit, but the bulk of the main ones will do just nicely. So without further ado, let's have a look. These King Chrome tool trolleys have two different sizes of drawer. We've got the larger drawers at the bottom and these three smaller drawers at the top. And a dog. The top drawers of these King Chrome trolleys measure 60 millimeters deep by 570 wide by 390 front to back. These deeper drawers are obviously the same dimensions that way, but they're a little bit deeper. They're just over 140. So I've been busy with the 3D printer and I printed up a series of trays for the drawers. They work on multiples of 100 for the most part. There's a couple of odd drawers just to make up the size difference around the edges. And of course we had to leave a tiny bit of wiggle room so we can get these in and out without too much fuss. So the big ones measure 200 by 200, that's the outside dimensions. The walls are 2 mil thick, so you can subtract 4 mil either way. So it's the 200 by 200. We've also got 200 by 100. So again, outside dimensions and nice easy multiple, keeps things nice and simple. And then to break that down further, we've got 100 by 100s. And of course you can interchange, print whichever you want. If you don't want any of the big 200 by 200s, if your printer can't print something that big, well, you might be able to print a 2 by 1 or at least a 1 by 1. Let's pop them in the drawer. Okay, so that's how I want the boxes laid out for now at least. But obviously they can be easily shuffled because for the most part they're multiples. You can just drop them in like so. As I mentioned earlier, while these are all multiples of 100, in order to get them to fit, these ones around the outside have some unusual measurements. For example, these two are in fact, upside down Miss Jane, 151 by 68 by 60, 60 being the height. So they're there to sort of take in the slack around the edges, as are these ones. If I lift one of those up, 200 by 90 by 60. So there are little edge fillers to make everything fit. We could still shuffle them around. They don't have to stay where they were. They're just to make up the difference in the measurements. Excellent, so I'm quite pleased with the way that drawer's laid out now. What I had in this drawer before was this old cutlery drawer liner, which worked well, don't get me wrong. If you haven't got access to a 3D printer, this might be a good alternative. It's just not a perfect fit, that's all. So Darren, I hear you ask, what about the big drawers? You mentioned the big drawers, you showed us the measurements of the big drawers. Where's the tubs? Well, they're here. I've only built 100 by 200 by 140 tubs. I figure anything smaller is kind of pointless in the big drawer, and a 200 by 200 of that size would take you about 12 weeks to print. Now I'm exaggerating, but it would certainly take 24 hours I think. So these are the ones I've made. They certainly hold a lot of stuff. As you can see, they fit nicely in the drawer. Plenty of clearance there so it won't interfere with anything as the drawer shuts. And if you wanted to, of course, you could put a heap of them in here, but again they take a long time to print, so in all honesty just print what you need. As you can see in the bottom left corner, this is my drawer for files and rasps. It's pretty well laid out and it's easy to see which is which when you go to grab a file, but I need to be able to fit more in there than that, and this is wasting a bit too much space, so I need to come up with a better method. Plus I've bought a few more files. And so this is my files and rasps drawer. Sadly I've run out of blue filament, I was going to do a couple more. I've got a couple more files that I used to use at work that I brought home. When I get some more blue filament, I will print a bit for there. But what we've got at the moment is we've got nice little needle files over here in a tray, its own tray there. And these are Wiltshire files. These two, they're curved on one side, flat on the other. Got a little spot for them over there. Got a couple of microplanes here. And then you can see a range of different types of file as we go across: flat, triangle, round or rat tail if you prefer, half round. That one's a rasp, not a file. I've also got some little trays down here, predominantly to stop these from sliding around, but they also come in handy. For example, here I've got a bit of chalk. Now, for those that you don't know, a little bit of chalk on your file will stop it getting clogged up, especially if you're doing a bit of metal work. It's very handy. It'll still cut your metal. The chalk will move out the way to do that. But it stops the chalk getting caked in between the teeth, and you can just brush it off with a file card. That's files and rasps. About 3 years ago I set up this system here to arrange my drill bits in one of my tool trolleys in the top drawer there, and it's worked very well for me. I've been very happy with it. But I built it out of wood before I had a 3D printer. It served me well, but these dividers are 9mm wide, which is wider than most of the actual drill bits in here. So I figured if I could narrow those down to 2mm each, I'd have more space for drill bits. So I'm going to do that. With the new plastic trays, I've saved a considerable amount of space compared to the old system. Here, let me grab the old tray and I'll show you. This whole area here was drill bits, and it was just these drill bits in this area here. So all of this here, all of these things here were in a different drawer before. One big change is I no longer have screwdriver bits in this drawer. That's okay. They're going to go in with the screwdrivers. Now, the great thing about these trays is that they've been built with 3mm roundovers in all of them. Let me take a tray to show you out. To make getting the bits back out of the tray easy, there's 3mm roundovers all over. Now, it's hard to see the roundovers in the bottom, but if you look at the edge here, you can see that's the 3mm radius there. We've got the same thing down the bottom, and then when you go to take out your bit, of course, that makes it easier to remove than if the edge was square. Additionally, they've all got these cutouts in them, all the drill bit holders, so you can get your fingers in there and be able to pick it up. If they were just tall sides like this, it would be very hard to get your fingers in and pick some of the bits up. You can also see the metric sizes of all the brad point bits and all the twist bits are on the holders. I've picked yellow because it's just a lot easier to see. In fact, the prototype I built was blue. A couple of problems with the prototype, hence the new edition. And I switched over to the yellow just because it's so much easier to see the drill bits in there. The blue, it's just all dark. So if you're going to build these, I do recommend a lighter colour. White will probably look filthy in a day, but something like yellow or orange seems to work quite well. You'll notice on this tray I've had to put 3.2 sideways, and the reason for that is it looked, when it was round the other way, it looked like it said 3.23.5. It looked like it was all one thing. Shrinking the numbers down much more would look weird. So does that, mind you. But also they get hard to read when they get too narrow. You've got to have a decent gap, and I wanted to be able to fit a pencil in there like I've done previously as well, and just get a little bit of graphite down the bottom of the hole, basically, so they're easier to read. I tried it with a marker pen here, but that bled through. Now, if that whole storage system seems a little bit too excessive, a little bit too much, then we've got these. And what these are just some little stackable trays. Again, they'll fit in the king chrome drawers, and you can stack them on top of each other. They've got these little lips, and those little lips fit into each other like that, and they're just short of the height of the drawer. Okay, so I just close this drawer and open the one beneath it, which is somewhat emptier now. I have got a case of Forstner bits to go back in here yet. Alright, so these are the stackable trays, and as you can see, they're a little bit short of the top of the drawer here, so if you put something in there, it's not going to interfere when you close the drawer, which is ideal, but saves you a bit of space because they stack on top of each other like that. And these trays measure 180 millimeters by 80 millimeters. They're available in two kinds, divided in two and undivided. Okay, so that brings us to the close of another video. Hopefully it's been of some use to you. As always, I will make these plans available for download on Thingiverse and probably a couple of other places like Celts 3D and Prusa.org. So keep your eyes out for those. Alright, again, thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next video, and bye for now.